And gentlemen, we are back. We're back with Balcora Cup. This is the third thing I've recorded for this. Oh, he's just gone to the bathroom. Heaven's sake. I guess I'll keep casting. This will be a good chance for me to explain some things for Balcora Cup, because I haven't really mentioned. I've mentioned it, and I've casted my game that I played recently with MDM, but I haven't really explained what the tournament is about. So right now, Balcora Cup has two phases. It has an initial round-robin group phase, where there are 3 groups of 4 players each, and in those groups you play round-robin with all of the other people. The series in the round-robin are not best-of series, they're just 2 games. So everyone gets to play everyone else twice in their group. And when the group stage ends, the people who come out on top of these group stages will be placed in a winner's elimination bracket, and the people who fall down to the bottom, they'll be placed in a loser's elimination bracket. And from there on out, it's just the simple elimination brackets. Alright, everyone's ready? This will be Tyguy versus Khusrau, I'm gonna call him Kus. We're loading in. This is Fallen Lords, TFL Fallen Lords. We are, of course, playing on the 2.4 patch, as is the tournament rules. So Tyguy picked this map, and Kus's map, I think, was Angel Wing, so we'll see Angel Wing after this. Okay. So here is Kus, he's in the yellow, playing Higaran, although actually he didn't pick Higaran, he picked random, which is very rare to see a newer player pick random. Generally they stick with one race, but Kus is actually, he picked random, he was quite confident with that pick as well. Tyguy also playing random, although he's an old hat, so you can kind of expect that sort of behaviour. So he's rolled Tydan. He's got, this collector's probably actually assigned to something, it's probably just stuck on the mothership. Whoa! That was, I think someone nearly had an access violation. So Tyguy, if I saw this replay and I didn't see the names, I would think this was me. I'm playing exactly this, he's playing exactly the same as I do. He starts with 2 scouts, sends them over there immediately. Although I like to use speed boost. Maybe not on this map because it's quite close, but on bigger maps I like to use speed boost to get over to my opponent quicker. Kus actually has his own scouts now. I wonder if he's going to scout with them or if he's going to try and fish for his opponent's vision. Probably he doesn't actually realise that Tyguy has scouts above him. He definitely needs to move his mothership into a position where this drop-off is closer to the patch. The same with the carrier. I expect that he won't, and it'll frustrate me for the whole game. As you can see, the carrier's like tilted like this. What that means is that he's grabbed it and right-clicked on these asteroids to move it, and basically it will never stop trying to get close to these asteroids, and it will permanently just remain sort of like here, at a weird angle. He needs to grab it and place it above this patch. On Tyguy's end, he's playing a lot cleaner. His mothership, flagship I guess you could say, is actually slightly misaligned. As you can see, the drop-off is over here. Something else about the Tydan drop-off, it has this sort of runway effect. So the collectors are going to go not only to the right here, but they're also going to go way back here. So about this distance. Or even further. And then they're going to run up to this drop-off. So what you actually want to do as Tydan is you want to grab your flagship and you want to have this in line and also forwards a little bit. So that's just a tip for Tydan players. Tydan is quite annoying to position the flagship with. I think of all the races it's the most annoying one. So Tyguy now with the research ship. This is quite interesting. It's a fairly early research ship, especially from Tyguy, who is a player who loves to get 3 patches and macro games like that. I suppose he may have been spooked because he's noticed that his opponent is making early interceptors, although I don't see a research module for Kus, so these interceptors are in no position to actually apply any pressure, because they don't have their speed upgrade. Kus has now noticed that there are scouts flying about, but he's not going to be able to catch them with slow interceptors. As you can see, Tyguy, this is a feature in 2.4, the Homeworld 1 technologies will actually appear on their production vessels. So we can see that Tyguy has at least researched his way up to interceptors. And since that is the same technology, he must also have access to bombers as well. Which is kind of strange, because in the campaign and in Homeworld 1 Classic, bombers were definitely a different technology to interceptors. But in Remastered, they're the same technology. Probably after this tournament is done, I'll make a push to actually separate those technologies again. Remastered looks so clean. I mean, look at that. That's amazing. I'm gonna take a screenshot. I'm gonna use that as the oh. I'm always trying to capture a nice screenshot so I can use them in thumbnails. Anyway, I'm gonna stop doing a last rites and focusing on the little strike fighter micro battles that look beautiful. But so Kus is still, I believe, he doesn't have a research module. That is true. So these interceptors are going to be stuck on 348 speed, and if they actually take an engagement with probably about 60% of their numbers worth of Tyguy interceptors. So this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 interceptors. If he takes a fight with about 12 or 15 Tyguy interceptors, he will lose that fight, simply because his interceptors do not have the speed upgrade. It's not an optional upgrade. You have to get interceptor speed. I'm actually vaguely confused, because he's definitely, this is 4, 8, 9 collectors. This is 6 collectors, so he's on 9, 6. This is obviously very oversaturated, but he should be floating quite a few resources. Like, I feel he must have enough money to be buying a research module and things like this, but I don't see it, so a bit strange, I'd say. What's Tyguy up to? He's up to corvettes, which, if he pushes now with corvettes, he will win the game. I'm still seeing no technology from Kus. This is getting extremely worrying. I don't know what he's spending his money on. He's got idle collectors as well. He might be AFK. He has played much better than this in the past, so I'm vaguely confused as to why we're seeing this kind of behavior from him. There's finally a research module. He's still making interceptors, which is fine usually, but if he had vision of his opponent, he would realize that interceptors are really not the technology that he wants to be making. Look, oh, they're heavy corvettes as well. So Tyguy is actually confident that his interceptors are going to take this fight, and I agree. Kus, you know, like all new players, doesn't have the best micro with his interceptors. Like, for example, this is a really bad move. You don't want to be fighting far away from your mothership. You want to bring your interceptors way back here. Fight under the cover of your mothership, where you've got a close docking point. This is essentially suicide. Look how many interceptors Tyguy has now. Personally, I probably would have made a handful of light corvettes instead of this many interceptors, but it really does not matter, simply because of the numbers difference. These interceptors, strangely, are on passive, so they aren't reacting to being shot, which means they just die insanely quickly. It's a very interesting choice, because you have to actively put your interceptors into passive. They start off on neutral, so I'm not really sure what his plan is with that. Or if he had a plan. I think that might be the case. You know, we're seeing now that these heavy corvettes do absolutely nutty damage to collectors. And that is exactly Tyguy's idea here. Look at this big ball of just everything going on. Yeah, unfortunately this is looking to be quite a one-sided game. Kus is pretty much out of it already. I don't really think there's anything he can do in this position. He does now have the torpedo frigate technology, but it's kind of too late. If a torpedo tries to fight these heavy corvettes in this number, it's going to lose. Tyguy would do well to slap on a couple of repair corvettes. I feel like just having 2 repair corvettes is such an easy thing to add on to your fleet, and it increases survivability a lot. Here's the torpedo. Obviously it has no armor at the moment. As you can see, it's 10 heavy corvettes has more armor than a torpedo frigate. Because 1600 against 14,000. Look how quickly it goes down. Crikey. Absolutely savage. And they didn't even use their burst ability to do that. You see how much damage that thing does? Yes, sir. I love watching collectors get sniped though. There's something really satisfying about it. I'm not sure why. I also see I like to see corvettes beat frigates. But we're in the end of this game right now. It's not really much that Kus can do from here. It was just too slow to get his technology. I don't know. I really don't know why he waited so long to get his research module. I feel like he might have been AFK for a little bit of this game. Just more and more corvettes. There's a mine layer now. This is pretty good. Mine layers obviously do insane damage, but they are quite fragile, and you do have to babysit them quite a lot. That's the downside to mine layers. There's the GG's called, who's probably scuttled this mothership, so these interceptors got to get out of here. Oh wow, that was an absolutely brutal game from Tyguy. He just overran his opponent. Very similar to the game Kus had earlier today, where he had to fight S. This exact same story, really. I really feel bad for Kus. He's in a very tough bracket. He has Tyguy and S in his bracket, which is just absolutely savage. I do feel bad for him. It's just RNG though. Here's the stats. 105 against 38. Yeah, Tyguy built less collectors, but he still mined more. The reason for that is because of the drop-off placement. And the bonus collectors that Kus had were completely worthless because they were just oversaturating on a single patch. Wow. Really dominant for Tyguy. We are now on the second map. This is Angel Wing. This is a very macro-focused map. You know, it's really difficult to actually stop your opponent from playing a macro style on Angel Wing, because it has 3 enormous IU patches right next to each other, and these 2 IU clusters, I guess you could say, are on opposite sides of the map, so... Okay. Alright, so the second game begins, hopefully soon. This is... I'm kind of expecting the same sort of story to play out. I think Kus is going to not be able to handle a mid-game push from Tyguy, or an early game push from Tyguy. Just waiting for people to click in. I'm not sure what's happening. Alright, here we go. Game 2. We are in... Oh, are these slots correct? 1-4, yes. Okay. So obviously both of these guys picked random, so we might see an entirely different matchup this time. We're jumping in now. Need to scuttle. We've got Kus over here as Tydan this time, the race that just defeated him. And Tyguy, once I get vision. Ah, he's Kushan. I think this map favors Tydan over Kushan, simply because Kushan, their only really good, unique technology is the Cloaked Fighter. In 2.4, that's a very good unit. It does require a lot of attention to make it worthwhile, though. The drone frigates are just absolutely garbage. There's no two ways about it. Even after being buffed several times over the course of 2.3 and 2.4, they are still just the worst frigate in the game. So I think on a map like this, where it's, as you can see, 3 gigantic patches right next to each other, we're playing with a standard IU multiplier, but still, this giant asteroid has 40,000 resources in it. You really are never going to run out of IUs on this map. Especially in a 1 versus 1. Perhaps in a 3 versus 3 you could conceivably burn through this. I think it would be quite an epic game for that to happen though. So Kus getting a... this is too early, I think. Unless he's planning to rush, this research ship was too early. You'll see Tyguy won't get his for another, perhaps even a minute. Or if he really wants to play a macro game, we won't see a research ship for maybe, who knows, 3 minutes? 4 minutes? Kus with the scout out on the map, this is very good. He did this last game as well, although I really feel like he didn't make use of the information. But that is because he is a new player. God, green looks great on Tydan, huh? Sorry, that's just that looks amazing. The green on green. Very, very good, nice colour scheme from Kus. I definitely prefer Kus's colour scheme to Tyguy's. For some reason, purple and green have just never really appealed to me. Okay, so the 2-minute 20 abouts research ship. This is very standard time. So this is neither a super macro or a super rushy sort of build. He can go in any direction he wants with this. Yes. Well, this is very suboptimal from Tyguy. You want the Kushan carrier should always go above the patch. It's identical to the Higaran carrier in its placement. This is pretty cool from Kus, actually. So that early research ship actually was indeed for the purposes of getting out early units, although I don't know how did he end up with the flagship all the way over here? He must have grabbed a whole bunch of units and just right-clicked over here. I just said this was pretty cool from Kus, and he just immediately throws it in the bin. As you can see, interceptors really do not... like, this amount of interceptors is not going to kill anything. Maybe if you had triple this amount, then you could start killing collectors, but this amount of interceptors really is not going to get anything done. Hop. This is it's good from Kus though to experiment like this. You know, he saw last game, oh, I stayed back too long. You know, I got overrun because I was too passive, perhaps. So he's experimenting with different things. Unfortunately, this is probably, you know, this attack specifically is not going to pan out. Hull defense is just too good. And to be honest, even without the hull defense, for example, this collector was under attack. It's lost basically no health. 200 out of 5,000. Not even 200, to be honest. More like 100 and... what is this? 139? Yes. Wait, 139? 131. Oh, do not attempt maths on YouTube. Okay, so we got more suicide squads of interceptors coming out here. I don't really understand this. He just witnessed his own interceptors completely fail to do anything, and he's sending more. Okay, here we go. This is... so he is paying attention. He just saw how ineffective, like, small, tiny squads of interceptors truly are against Homeworld 1 beefy collectors covered by hull defense. And so he thought, you know, I'm not going to continue to throw units away. I want to bring these back. I will say this game, he has sort of the opposite problem that he had last game. He probably could stand to do with a couple more collectors. But he does have this problem again where his resource drop-off is really far away from the patch. Right, you can't really do this. Like, I wonder how long it takes these collectors to actually get back here. Tyguy now on Corvette Tech as well, as you can see, the module. Alright, so let's count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 28 seconds is how long it took the collector to get from here to here. 28 seconds! This is a huge, huge loss of RUs for Kus. He's just bleeding money constantly by doing this. This patch is pretty good though. The resource drop-off, you know, it lines up quite well. Although it looks like, yeah, this carrier's got the same problem going on. He's just grabbed it and right-clicked on a patch. So as you can see, the carrier's sort of like trying to get into position constantly, and ideally it would actually just be underneath the patch, because it's still, these two rocks are quite far away from it. It's this rock that's okay. He has an idle collector as well. Sending off a little band of light corvettes into the dust clouds. This is a good idea. Or it would be a good idea if they were heavy corvettes. Light corvettes don't suffer the same way ints do to hull defense, but their damage still isn't that great. This amount of units is not going to be able to kill any collectors. I think 10 is about the number of light corvettes that start to become a threat to Homeworld 2 collectors, and for Homeworld 1 I would have to say you're looking at about 15 before they're really under threat. These collectors though are not under any kind of threat even if he came here with 15, simply because I know for a fact that Tyguy has a lot of units docked in. I'm gonna sneeze. Hold on. Ooh. Whoa. That was quite a sneeze. I've been having allergies a lot. It's spring starting. Plus I have a cat, and I'm actually vaguely allergic to cats, which is, you know, it's probably not a good idea to have a cat if you're allergic to cats, but what can I say? I love my cat. She's adorable. She ran into a door today, which is pretty funny. Kus now getting a third patch. This is a really good idea. On this map, there's really no harm in trying to take all three patches. It's very difficult to break your opponent. Tyguy though, he's on 2 patches, although I feel like we're about to see some sort of push from him. The reason I think that is because he's now put a resource controller on a patch that already had a carrier. This means he's trying to free up his carrier to be able to push across the map, or perhaps to take another RU position. Potentially, if we see a resource controller here, he might just hyperspace in, but I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's probably just going to move his carrier out once he hits some amount of units or something like that. Otherwise it's sort of a weird waste of money. So you just put a controller where you already had a carrier. Oh, interesting, he's got 2 controllers. Perhaps he feels somewhat correctly that a single resource controller can't handle this many collectors. The thing about Homeworld 1 controllers is they only have 1 resource drop-off. So they are very inferior to Homeworld 2 refineries, but... So yeah, okay. This is fair enough. He's going to leave 2 controllers on this patch, and just saturate a 3rd patch. It's a bit strange that he's decided to play this macro style, yet he's... kind of... I'm pretty sure he's got docks full of units, and despite that he's still going to choose to take the time to take a 3rd patch before doing anything. Perhaps he doesn't have vision of his opponent. No, he does. There's a scout up here. Kus now getting a probe into the action. This green on green is really nice, I can't get over it. It looks so good. Sorry, Tyg. It's just a personal preference thing. I just really don't like purple with green. Specifically, I don't like this kind of purple. I'm not sure. Huh. Anyway. Tyguy obviously sees this probe. I mean, it's literally here. With probes, obviously you want to put them above your opponent, or so far away that they're just in range of what they're trying to see. Aha, so Kus obviously saw these interceptors launch, because they are the things that killed that probe. I wonder if we can get a good shot of the interceptors. Probably not. I do like the Angel Moon though. It looks amazing. I love it. I think this is probably my favourite skybox. I do like Balcora, and I do like the one that appears in the Karos Graveyard mission with the huge derelicts in the background. I think that one's amazing. Maybe I'll try and grab this. We'll see. Hopefully I get a better shot later. I mean, I think I got quite a good one in the first game, to be honest. Perhaps the light corvettes against Tigara? Or the interceptors? Oh, I can hear Tyguy flying towards this. Ships passing in the night, as it were. He didn't see it! Oh, here comes a probe though, so he will in fact find this little squadron. I don't know if he's going to react to it though. He's probably not really paying attention to these right now. Okay, here we go. These light corvettes are in a lot of trouble. I mean, the interceptors are in a lot of trouble as well, obviously. We may see a couple of interceptors from Tyguy go down. Just because light corvettes, they do a lot of damage per shot. Tyguy, once again with the heavy corvettes. This is pretty much the style he used last game. Interceptors with heavy corvettes. Kus is doing a lot better this game in terms of actually having an army. Specifically, these assault frigates were a really good idea. They're gonna save his ass right now, because Tyguy is thinking about pushing in. Unfortunately, this attempted side door from Kus is gonna get spotted by a probe. This kind of move is really good. To be a new player making this type of move is really... it's very exciting for me to see. He just needs to cover the fundamentals of making moves like this. You know, you need to have better vision, you need to deny vision from your opponent, things like that. Tyguy, of course, has a probe in every single dust cloud, so he sees the whole map. I'm not certain about the... Oh, are these interceptors quite damaged? I'm not certain about the reliability of this attack, because obviously Kus has quite a lot at home that can deal with interceptors. He has idle collectors again. If I have to say one thing to you, Kus, it's make sure your collectors are harvesting, and make sure your drop-offs are close. I mean, this is probably his best patch, even though it has less on it. Tyguy with a grab, well even. As we saw, that attack just got shut down, it just got chewed up by these defenders. Or I guess defending assault frigates, because defenders are actually a unit. Really not much action happening, as is expected, to be honest, from Angel Wing. It's a very, you know, I'm going to sit here and just build for 30 minutes sort of map. This collector's probably going to be fine. The interceptors are here to defend. So there's some light corvettes, which is a really good, nice addition to this small fleet. Tyguy losing a couple of interceptors for his troubles, not too much though. Aha, very nice. And this is really exactly what I was just talking about right now. If you try and attack on this map with something that isn't a huge push, generally it just sort of gets sniped and shut down. I do like this though from Tyguy. He's drawn a lot of attention over to this right hand side, including the Iron Frigate. Meanwhile, we see on the left side he's coming in with a big strike force, a lot of interceptors, and his frigate fleet. Now these are all assault frigates, so a dedicated iron defense will actually be able to handle this, especially if it has support frigates. Every time I look over here I see these two idle collectors and it breaks my heart. So he's got 7-8 assault frigates and he's now going into iron frigates. Pushing out with a carrier, he of course has 2 carriers now, as is expected. I think he got that carrier a little bit later than usual, but I'm pretty sure it popped out at about 13 minutes. I don't know if I actually caught that on the replay, or if I was just being stupid and looking at colour schemes and saying, oh yes, I like purple. Okay, so here comes Tyguy. He's obviously Kus actually has no vision of this because he has no control over any of these dust clouds, so he can't see any of these units. He can't see these units on the right. He can't see these units on the left, and in fact, he doesn't even have vision of normal space to see these units in the center. So Tyguy is here. He's here. He's here. He's here, and he's just going to just collapse in. To be honest. Okay, here he goes. This is a pretty cool way to play the game. I sort of feel like it's a bit unnecessary. In this specific case, you could honestly just ball everything up and just punch through the center. But I do appreciate the effort. It's always nice to see people trying to play creatively. This iron cannon frigate with no support. Homeworld 1 frigates are very bulky though. And Homeworld 1 interceptors actually deal less damage to big targets than Homeworld 2, because they're not in formation. If you want to deal damage to frigates as Homeworld 1 with interceptors, you want to put them in small squadrons of 2. Okay, but a little scuffle happening over here with the interceptors. Kus's interceptors are going to lose this fight quite convincingly. Oh, but this is really good! Oh, all of these heavy corvettes just ran into grav walls, although this is really bad. You don't want to activate both grav walls at the same time. A really good idea though. Kus is making quite high level plays as a beginner player, which is really nice to see. These heavy corvettes are going to take a terrible fight. So much free damage being piled onto them here. This grav wall is about to go down though, so now these corvettes are free to run away or continue to fight if they want. Over on this side we've got a whole bunch of assault frigates just taking out all the collectors that are over here. There's nothing to defend against these. The iron frigates are not where they should be. I mean, he's got several up at the front here, but they've run into the iron frigates of Tyguy that are coming in from the center. I feel like Tyguy's forces over here might be in a bit of trouble, but not too much. I mean, these are just light corvettes. If these were heavy corvettes, then these iron frigates would be in a lot of trouble. A missile destroyer for Kus. This is a really good idea. Obviously, it was going to handle these corvettes very convincingly, but I feel like the real story is these assault frigates that came in on this side, because they've just cleared up all of these collectors. Yep, there they go. This grav well is being activated. I'm not really sure why. It's not actually... He doesn't have anything to use to snipe these interceptors that he's managed to stun. The missile destroyer is not actually attacking. It's obviously been bandboxed on these vets, which are nowhere near the destroyer anymore. Kus is just being pulled in all directions. All of these collectors are probably going to go down. Heavy corvettes do insane damage to collectors, especially when they use the burst ability, which Tyguy is using. I'd like him to focus fire a bit better, but no real criticism of this. Although he wants to stop attacking this collector now. This is actually, if you do it correctly, you know, you damage one collector and actually you allow it to dock, because it will remain docked until it's healed, which will take a very long time. And then you can just snipe all of these collectors. The fight at the front has been won by Tyguy simply by merit of having reinforcements just piling in. Tyguy now sees the missile destroyer on the way, so he's just going to back away with all of his strike. The interceptors over here coming back into the fight. I don't really know if they want to. There's no real reason to have Strikecraft here anymore. Every single last collector is getting cleared up by Tyguy here. And just a stream of red is just pouring into this side of the map. Carrier over here, also reinforcing. Tyguy with the grav wells in the dust clouds, preventing Kus from making any sort of hyperspace play. I think there may be a channel right down the center where he might be able to jump through, but I'm not too convinced about that. This is another missile destroyer, which... how do I feel about that? Obviously in this scenario it's not going to work, but having two missile destroyers allows you to just crush the Strikecraft battles. And if you can win on Strikecraft, then you can make whatever you want. You know, you can make mine layers, you can make bombers, all of this sort of stuff, and you can actually take out frigates with those. I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen anyone pull it off successfully, but it's definitely possible in theory. Kus' numbers dwindling steadily. The interceptors dealing really no damage to any frigates. Although I guess they must have been hitting this one for so long that it's finally gone down. Missile destroyer getting eaten alive by these iron frigates. Goes down very quickly. Obviously missile destroyers have far less armor than regular destroyers. As you can see, 75,000. That's I think that's only slightly more than a Vega carrier. It might even be less. I'm surprised Tyguy isn't just killing the mothership. Killing the Homeworld 1 mothership is it's pretty much the end of the game for the Homeworld 1 player, because unlike Higarans or Vega who can warp in a shipyard, the mothership for Homeworld 1 factions is the only source of capitals that they have, and that includes carriers. You know, a carrier can't build extra carriers, so... Obviously the regular attack of a missile destroyer does absolutely no damage at all to iron cannons. He needs to be using the missile destroyer against the vets. So he's just been overwhelmed with superior macro and economy, to be honest. It was cool to see him coming up from all these different angles, but at the end of the day, what actually won this game was, I have more money than you. I have more money, I have 2 carriers, you've only got 1. I have more units, and I have more reinforcing units. This has gone fairly decently for Tyguy. For Kus, I will say. These assault frigates actually did very well. There's the GG call from Kus. which is fair. His flagship's about to go down. Destroyer in the mix from Tyguy here. Ah, he's just surrendered. There we go. So a couple of... I think the first game was very one-sided. This game was a bit more interesting though. Kus definitely thrived better with the easier macro of Angel Wing. And the tie-down fall to the Kushan nonetheless. Very canonical. And that means it's 2-0 for Tyguy. I will say, not an unexpected sort of scoreline there. 2 idol collectors here. Not an unexpected victory for Tyguy. He is the veteran player here. Kus is absolutely new. He's probably in the double digits of games under 50. Under 20 maybe. The ship's killed, looking fairly decent for Kus here actually, but that's only because Tyguy ran into a lot of assault frigates and things like that. As you can see, the harvested resources are just wildly in favour of Tyguy here. Nearly double. Interestingly, they've both got the same amount of research percentage, although Tyguy obviously, he did have that destroyer technology, which means he had to spend a lot of money on that. Nothing else really interesting to say about that game. I think it was cool to see the encirclement, but honestly it was the macro that won this game. And Kus had very bad drop-off positioning, and he also probably should have made a couple more collectors. If we take a look at the collector count, it's 22 to 20. And I feel like it only went up to 20 for Kus at the very end of the game. So, anyway, that was Balcora Cup, Tyguy versus Kus. GG's. I'll see you guys next time. Oh, and click the link in the description down below. It has the Homeworld Universe Discord link in there. You guys should get on the Discord, because we're always playing games. You can highlight us and all this sort of stuff, so it's a great way to find games. There are a lot of new players on there, a lot of older players on there. So you can get games of all kinds of levels. You can get team games, 1v1s, anything you want. There's even a couple of people floating around who play Complex. So if you're part of that crowd, then still, come visit us. We'd love to play. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.